Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you've had a great Wednesday. Hope you all are doing well out there in the Midwest, South Central U.S., and Upper Midwest, and the Rockies. It has been wild today across the nation's heartland. As there's been extremely strong winds, nasty thunderstorms ongoing right at this moment in Iowa, and really the height of the severe weather events kind of going on right now in the past couple of hours. There has been some reported tornadoes. I'm actually going to show you a video from a guy who actually got one on film, which is very hard to do in a setup like this. You got storm motion at 80 to 100 miles per hour, so you got literal tornadoes moving. I'm not talking about the wind speeds from the tornadoes, but the movement of the tornadoes is actually going faster than what you drive on the interstate. It's incredible out there, and I'll show you all that in a second. The main part of this video is going to be talking about the pattern next week and figuring out what's going to happen as we continue to try to really drill down what is going to happen as far as storm systems. Is it going to be a cold Christmas? Is it going to be warm Christmas? Is it going to be average Christmas? Is anybody going to see a nice winter storm, a nice snow before Christmas? We're going to talk about that in this video. So if you guys have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Like the video if you like it. Appreciate y'all's amazing support. Still on that mission to get the 10K by the end of the year. We got a lot of work to do, and unfortunately, I don't see any major storms, and I don't want any kind of major storms as far as severe weather, but I'm talking about a nice winter storm to talk about. Would be nice. I'm really sick of the severe weather. The severe weather, there is things to talk about when it occurs, but I tell you what, after what happened over the weekend and what's going on right now, I'll pass. I really would. So it'd be nice to talk about a big time winter storm across the country and something a lot less dangerous, even though that can be dangerous also. But so let's get going here. First off, I want to show you what's going on. This is water vapor over the nation's heartland. This is the storm right here. It's just a powerful low pressure moving through. The gradient's extremely tight. The isobars are very tight, so you have insane wind speeds aloft in the upper areas of the atmosphere that are actually mixing down with the surface. So even though you got 80 to 100 knot low level jets shooting over these areas right here, that 80 to 90 to 100 knot jet is actually mixing to the surface. Therefore, you got 80 to 90 to 100 mile per hour wind gusts across these areas. You've had big time fire risk. There's been a couple wildfires in the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma into areas of Kansas. And there has basically just been a raging dust storm across the central U.S. today. And it's because the dry air that's coming in behind this cold front after this system goes through. But you look at these clouds right here. That is that line of intense thunderstorms that erupted earlier today in Nebraska and Kansas. It's continuing to do so. So if you look at the radar right now, and I will mention, by the time a lot of you guys watch this, this will not look like this. These storms are racing. That's Chicago right here. They're moving through Des Moines right now. Only one tornado warning at this time, and it's right in the middle of that moderate risk. There is actually a tornado that was seen and reported in Atlantic, Iowa, and I'll show you all that in a second. But this is what's going on here. This is that intense line of storms. You got 80 to 100, maybe over 100 mile per hour wind gusts with this. But you see these reports right here. These are reports of blowing dust just southwest of Omaha. These are it says dense fog, but there's another one right here. That's wind damage. Wind damage, 1 inch tree, limbs broken, power poles broken. It's everywhere. You got blowing dust. And then the colder side of the storm, you have snow in these areas. So it's been insane. You see all the storm reports for wind damage and things like that. It's been crazy for sure. But we back out of that and we look at this Twitter right here. This was actually that tornado. We'll make it a little bit closer here in Atlantic, Iowa. This is insane to see. It's a very short video, and it's going to be hard to see on your screen. But that is a tornado. It's what's crazy and dangerous about these situations right here, and you don't have it often. It's this tornado is associated. It's associated with a squall line. So you got kinks in these lines of storms right here, and you're looking here and you get a little bit closer. You got these little kinks in these lines of storms, but they're moving so fast. So when this thing kind of blitzed through Atlantic earlier, you see these tornadoes coming, and by the time you realize and process that's an actual tornado with a squall line, it's right there, and you got to get out the way. They're normally quick. They drop to the ground. They don't last long, but just crazy storm, even outside of these storms today. So be careful. It's going to be ongoing all night. And just be careful out there for sure. And this is going to continue to work its way into Wisconsin and eventually die out. But strong winds will continue overnight for Iowa in places like that in surrounding states. So be careful out there. Hopefully we don't have any reported deaths or anything like that. As I like to say, we can replace material things, even as big as houses and things, but you can't replace life. So prayers go out to everybody affected, and hoping that none of them smaller towns out there get hit hard by anything tornado related. So let's get going here. So we're going to talk. I can't talk. We're going to talk about what's going on next week. So we're going to look at the European and the GFS and take a look at some other things here. But the latest European, what you got going on is this system gets going, gets into Canada, continues to put down a ton of snowpack here in eastern Canada. Then another storm forms really along the jet stream here. And this is really just a northern dominated piece of energy. And I'm really looking to see if areas in the interior Northeast and southern New England, people like Boston, not quite New York City, but Boston, you could get a nice, a decent potential snowfall really this weekend, Saturday into Sunday morning, Sunday during the day. This could drop, a few inches of snow on the ground. How much? Not sure, but this has been consistent with this system. How much cold air has not been consistent. GFS was warmer, the European was colder. GFS is trending a little bit colder, and then so that makes Boston kind of right in the middle. So you're fighting if you're going to be cold enough for snow, or if it's just going to be warm and too warm, it's going to be rain. But right now, Boston, the European, likes an event where you start off with a good thumping of snow that could accumulate to a couple inches, and then turns to rain, but not before you get a few inches of snow, just for the holiday week here. Puts down a good little holiday snow for the Northeast. That moves on out, and then you have another system right here that pops off. This was the system that was showing a big-time winter storm early next week a few days ago, but so since then has really suppressed north. Now, this could potentially still trend north, and why I say that is because you have like a 50-50 low, meaning you have a northern piece of energy right here, almost a clipper kind of system that's going to be surging through midweek next week. And then you have a pretty powerful low pressure right here. Can these connect somewhere? Can these two pieces of energy connect and you get some kind of coastal storm? It's not out the realm of possibility. This is still 10 days out. I meant 7 days out. So still time to work with. But right now, these two are not jiving with each other. And then you get towards the end of the run, and just in time for Christmas Eve into Christmas, maybe a light snow event for the Northeast, and maybe this is a little bit more south, but this is the third system to talk about. So there's three systems. Try to figure out the second one, has more of a northern component to it and a southern component to it. Can they connect, or will they never will? Not sure, but there's no consistency on any kind of dominant big-time winter storm or just system in general. In fact, it looks like it'll be active as far as the storm systems to track, but as far as any kind of anything major to talk about, not really. But the GFS, as you get into Saturday into Sunday, shows that same system as the European. I always like to show the GFS on Tropical Tidbits because I don't like the map off of weather models, but Tropical Tidbits is lagging a little bit. It's stuck at hour 138, so I had to show this. But this shows the same system as the GFS, the European. Nice snow event for areas of New England, southern New England. Shows the second system, and it's pretty much the same look as the European. It has a really intense low pressure. In fact, this would probably bring a big time. This would probably bring a very chilly day. Wednesday, maybe Tuesday. The timing of the storms up in the air, but this could potentially, especially you see these tightening of these isobars around this low pressure. This could potentially bring a very windy day across coastal areas of the Carolinas, depending on how close this coastal system gets, and then it just kind of meanders. But the GFS a little later in the run is a lot closer to this northern piece of energy as you're getting into Christmas Eve, if you will, and then into Christmas Eve. So you got to watch this. Do you get some kind of trend? And they actually join forces and hit areas of Nova Scotia and probably end up hitting Newfoundland on down the road just in time for Christmas Eve. So, and then you look at this other piece of energy, it's not as excited. Well, it is. It's there. I'm sorry, I got my models mixed up here. But the GFS is a little bit later with this third system. It actually comes the day after Christmas Eve, and provides a little bit of snow for New England, maybe Mid Atlantic. But that's pretty much the main thing to talk about, really, as far as storm systems for next week. But there's a few to talk about, and there's still time. And there's still time for things to come together a little bit more for something more significant. So we're going to talk. We're going to keep watching that. This weekend, as we're getting into tomorrow, it's going to start to warm big time. You're going to get into the 60s all the way into the Ohio Valley areas of the Mid-Atlantic, and you're going to be in the 70s, the near 80 across the Deep South. 60s, I think a little bit more of a wedge of cold air. Still going to hang tight in the Carolinas. Therefore, you're not going to be as warm as areas to the west in Alabama and Mississippi, but very warm. You get into Friday, and just very warm conditions as you round off your last weekend or get started your last weekend before the holidays. It's going to be nice weather if you're shopping. It's going to feel more like spring and not really so much the holidays. I always like it personally to be cold around the holidays, and it's certainly not going to be cold if you're in the southeast. This is Saturday as far as high temperatures, 70s, 60s, but very cold, very seasonably cold up in the northeast. There's a big tight boundary with a cold front that's beginning to sweep down. Very chilly Arctic air seeping into the Midwest and upper Midwest. You get into Sunday for highs, and the cold front finally moves through, so probably a colder day across the eastern U.S. in general for Sunday. And then next week, you watch. We get into Monday, chilly day, get into Tuesday, temperatures begin to moderate. But let's go on and skip straight to Christmas Eve morning. Christmas Eve morning, Arctic air dipping into the northeast, but there is still a little bit of ridging going on right here. Therefore, you get into highs potentially Christmas Eve, and it's in the 70s across the Deep South, 60s in the Carolinas. And not really very cold anywhere, even up into the Ohio Valley. It's still probably a little bit above average, but you got to get way deep into the Northeast or in the upper Midwest where you get really cold air. But let me tell you, Christmas Eve and Christmas, it's just now starting to get inside 10 days. So there's a lot to figure out what's going to happen as far as temperatures for that time frame. It really is. In fact, the GFS, as you get into Christmas Eve, is a little bit colder. This is around high temperatures for Christmas Eve. Very warm in Texas. Very, very warm. The Deep South is warm. But you get into the Mid-South and it's quite chilly in 50s and 40s, more seasonable air. The Carolinas, 50s and 40s. You get into Christmas Day, and the warm starts to build a little bit further north, but still pretty chilly across Georgia and the Carolinas, and very, very chilly in the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and especially the Northeast. So there's still a lot to figure out what's going to happen. And basically what you got going on is what we've been talking about, a ridge that's really been situated into the Midwest. It really will continue to move into the eastern U.S. It'll warm us up. Then you have a little quick, sharp trough that digs through here that will make it very cold in the Northeast. And then just depending on what happens here, you get a little bit of a ridging going on here, and then it shows a low pressure developing here. It shows a lot of cold air in Canada. But yeah, it's difficult to figure out what's going to happen. You got kind of the midsection of the country, the southern section with a ridge. So you have nice dual blocking up here over Greenland and portions of Alaska, not a full block here in Alaska. But you have the stubborn ridge right here, and you have troughing kind of over the Northeast. And you have troughing cold front digging here in the western Canada and then the northwest of the U.S., but not a favorable pattern for really any cold air. This is more of a favorable pattern right here for cold air damming, with some kind of high pressure situating here, funneling in cold air, but definitely not a great pattern for any significant winter weather deeper south or anything like that. But you get a closer look at this weekend storm for Boston in the Northeast. This is going to be a nice little shot of some snow. It's holiday snow just for the holidays, and I think it's going to remain cold throughout the week to keep it on the ground. And then you got another little piece of energy that shoots down here. Maybe kick off the lake effect snow bands a little bit, and then a little bit of a clipper comes in just for Christmas. So, across the Northeast, I think you're going to have especially the mountainous areas, not so much the coastal areas, unless you're around Boston. I think you could have a nice wintry week next week, just in time for the holidays. But you look at the South, and I don't see anything like last year where you had that huge cold front where you had all that cold air chasing moisture, and dropped all that snow in the mountains of the Tennessee and the Carolinas, and we had basically the record-breaking cold Christmas Day. I don't see anything like that. Things could have changed, yeah, but I just don't see anything signifying any type of real big Arctic air between now and Christmas. I really don't. But you got to watch this coastal low here. Could be a big time system off the coast of the Carolinas early in the week, Christmas week. But who knows? Shows a little bit of rain moving in for Christmas Day. But we'll figure out what's going to happen. Right now, I can say with decent confidence that based off what I see, there's nothing major to talk about for Christmas week. There will be some disruptive systems, but nothing that is unheard of, or really not for this time of the year. But we'll continue to figure out. We'll continue to watch it. Thank you all for tuning in, and y'all have a blessed evening.